Everybody lend your mental energy to John while he thinks. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Happy Tuesday. Tonight in the show we're going to teach you how to make fish and beans. That's right, an unknown and relatively unappetizing sounding combination. If I was trying to make it sound more appetizing, I might call it something like Cannellini cod or fish a la beans. The first step is to make a drink. Tonight I will be having some nice wine. Okay, so one of the things that this recipe strives to be a quick and easy recipe, and it strives to be like a pantry staple recipe where you probably have some of the items already. I don't know how many people keep cannellini beans around. I really like cannellini beans, and the reason I like them is that when I first started getting interested in cooking, when I was a young lad, I had a William Sonoma book about pasta, and in that book there was one recipe where it's like, put a cannellini beans in a pasta with a butter. And you know, I was maybe 12 or something, and I was like, yeah, that's really good. It was one of the first things I made. So ever since then, I've thought fondly of the cannellini beans. You could use any white beans. I really don't think they taste that different. So I'm gonna strain these beans. These here beans. These ones are made in Italy. Beans are good for you, and we should all be eating more beans, I think. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start trying to get some flavor into these beans. For this actual recipe, as it is written, and preheat your oven to 300 degrees. As it is written, it pretty much is like, open those cans of beans, slap some fish on there, and bake it. But one of the things that, kind of one of the downsides of that, is it doesn't really give the beans a lot of time to absorb any kind of flavors, other than, you know, maybe some fish drippings, which doesn't really sound that great to me. So what I'm gonna do is heat up the beans in a pan with some olive oil, and I'm gonna try to get some of the flavors going in these beans. And yeah, of course you could skip this, but hopefully this makes it taste better. And this is healthy food. Fish and beans is healthy food. So you don't gotta feel guilty about adding olive oil. In fact, if you don't add olive oil, it's just not gonna taste very good. Okay, so to get some flavor into these beans, I have some sprigs of oregano, also pronounced oregano. Oregano comes from Oregon, and that's where it gets its name. Or Oregon grease, right? So go ahead and throw your oregano in there. You could chop it up if you like. We're also gonna add olives, and we're using a specific kind today, which is Castelvetrano. And if that's not how you say it, I don't care. These are made in Italy, as many olives are. Do most olives come from Italy? Just that general area. They're generally described as more mild olives. And instead of being brined, as you would have like with a traditional olive, these are rapidly exposed to lye, like a lye solution. So it's a different way of removing the poison from the olives. So we will use those today, and I need to get some of them out because you're supposed to chop them up a little bit. Part of why people like them is that they tend to have a pretty firm texture. They are not nearly as briny as a traditional olive. Some people describe it as buttery in texture. I'm gonna chop them. Look, I have used a knife to put them into smaller pieces, indubitably. So the amount of olives you use, it's up to you. I've never made this recipe before, but I'm kind of looking at this and it looks pretty good to me. All right, now continuing on in our trying to put flavor into these beans, I have some homegrown garlic here. This is not in the original recipe, but as you may have noticed, my love for this microplane has displaced my love for the Instant Pot. So Instant Pot is dead to me. Microplane is my new girlfriend. And I'm gonna grate some garlic into these beans. So here I am grating this beautifully homegrown garlic. Oh, let's put an additional clove of garlic in there, an additional one. Another thing I love is my variety of small spatulas. Those are clutch. Pinch of salt, one for the homies. And we're not cooking anything really here. We're just basically heating these up and trying to get a head start on flavor. That smells really good. I think you need the garlic in this dish. Tonight we're using codfish. I think cod is probably one of my least favorite fish. I think that it is largely flavorless, but it fits into the big category of firm whitefish. So I'd much rather have something like halibut But when I went to the store, cod's what they had. That's what we'll be using tonight. So we'll let this simmer for a little bit just to get a head start on them beans. All right, we will prep 2 small shallots, or maybe just 1 if I think it looks sufficient. Yes, let's do both shallots. We'll be chopping these into rings. Thinly slice it into rings. Next up, we're gonna slice a lemon. If you encounter seeds, you can fish them out. I think you, as a regular viewer of PGC, know I am not gonna do that. I don't give a shit. Okay, there's our sliced lemon. If your beans look like they're drying out at all, you could add water, you could add wine, and some people I saw enjoyed adding chicken stock. You know, your mileage may vary. I am gonna add a little bit of water. Just from time to time to keep things bubbling along. Okay, let's pretend that more time has elapsed than it actually has. Here's the time passing. Whoa, the clocks! Time is an illusion. Okay, so I cooked those beans for a long time. Nah, go ahead and dump them into your dish. Spread out your beans, olives, etc. In addition to those beans, I have some more sprigs of oregano, and I also have some parsley. Since we're here, give it another once over of wine, and let's get that fish. The guy at the seafood counter kind of seemed like he was having a hard day. I asked for 1.5 pounds of fish. His first try he gave me 1 pound, and then by the time he was done, he gave me 2 pounds, and I said, don't worry about it, buddy. So we have a little bit more fish than I was hoping to have, but that's, you know, generally not much of a problem. And in this case, we will try to cut the fish up into some portions that make more sense. Generally, I like to cut it into portions that someone might eat, which generally will look something like this. You can season them how you like. I am realizing now that I am not gonna be able to fit all this f***ing fish in here. So thanks, seafood counter guy. Trying to get the biggest, thickest pieces. And I don't know what I'll do with the rest. Something. All right. Very liberally salt your fish. We're not really seasoning it with like much in terms of spice. So the fish will be very mild, but that's okay. We are gonna douse everything in oil. Okay. First, you can sprinkle everything with your shallot. Putting the shallots directly onto the fish should help it pick up some of that shallot flavor. And then we can layer our lemons over the top, like so. And actually, I forgot, there's something we should probably add before the lemons, which is just a little bit of hot chili. So these are a couple of peppers from my garden. They're not super hot. This recipe actually called for a Fresno, similar to like a red jalapeno. I can't possibly justify purchasing chilies of any kind when I have so many at home. So just a little bit of chili, like so. We'll give it just a little bit of zip. I'm happy with that. So the last step is to drizzle everything in olive oil. And when I say drizzle, we're probably gonna glug it, like so. Again, that will help the flavors distribute. It'll give you some much needed fat in a otherwise pretty much fatless dish. And of course, you could add more salt if you want. I think some black pepper would not be amiss, would not be out of place. And then all you gotta do is bake the whole thing. So it's almost like a bean and olive casserole with some fish on top. Flavored with lemons and shallots and chilies. And all those things sound pretty nice to me. So let's go ahead and pop it in the oven. It should take around half an hour. We'll see how it looks like in that time. Half an hour at 300. It certainly could be cooked at a higher temperature, but this is a way of, if you're not comfortable cooking fish, cooking it at a slower temperature helps it not get overcooked and rubbery, which of course nobody likes. Unless you do. There are some people who do like that. We'll be back in a short period of time, about 29 minutes. Right, it's been 30 minutes. So first impressions, what's interesting to me is that nothing's really bubbling, but it is sizzling, I can hear it. So let's see if that fish cooked. You cooked fish? It is, but it's also not that hot. This is weird. I'm weirded out. I'm gonna take the broil route. I'm gonna take that broil route. Okay, so we're gonna turn the broiler on. But look at that's done fish. It's obviously done. But I just pulled it out of the oven and it's not that hot. That's not normal. What the f? Beans are hotter than fish. Okay, so we're gonna give it just a couple more minutes for the broiler to heat up, and then we're gonna throw it under the broiler and call it a day. So just almost there. Are these shallots cooked? All right, we're gonna finish it under the broiler. My broiler, I have like that big gas thing right in the middle. So I'm gonna just slide it right under there. We'll let that go for about 5 minutes. Maybe less, we'll see. And if that doesn't get the fish hot, I don't know what will. Okay, so I didn't even let it go 5 minutes because we already got char on the lemons. But I'm very happy that I can see steam coming out of the dish now. So, our meal is done and ready to go. So I will scoop out some big flaky fish. Look at that, looks great. And then I will try to scoop out some of the beans that accompany it with it. It is up to you if you want to serve this with the juice. I do suggest that you add at least some of it, particularly to a shallow dish such as this, because if you do that, you can use some nice bread to soak up the juice. And also there's not very many carbs in this dish, so it kind of rounds out dinner. Tonight we'll be having this with some wine and some bread and a little salad, and I think it'll be quite nice. All right, let's do the official taste test. Some fish, perfectly flaky. It tastes really good. We didn't overcook it. Beans are great. I would say that if you don't like crunchy shallots, you may need to slice them razor thin or maybe dice them up, because the shallots didn't cook down as much as everything else did. But this is really delicious. To me, it tastes pretty delicate. You know, you're using pretty simple ingredients and kind of lightly cooking them. I think this is great. I'm not much of a cod guy, but cooked this way, it actually is really good. I think this is better than expected even. Oh, I forgot, you can also top the whole thing with a slice of a lemon. Some fresh lemon juice at the end. So, I thought that was a good one. That's how you do it. Quick and easy, that's a good weeknight dinner. And you could just skip the steps I did at the beginning and just dump that can of beans in there and throw a fish on there. And you too could eat fish and beans or cod and cannellini. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time on PGC, this channel that you're watching.